As of me recording today's video, this is the lowest rated add-on on the Minecraft marketplace. It is called C.A.L.M and it's created by the World Foundry. This add-on sits at a price of 660 Minecraft coins. That's £3.29. It's roughly $4. So something isn't quite right with this add-on. It only has a 2.9 star rating out of 5 with 29 ratings so far. 41% are giving it a 1 star. However, 35% have still given it a 5 star. Let's find out what's going on. Before we get into this, the creators did respond to one of my tweets by saying C.A.L.M is Conway's game of life in Minecraft, with a building mode and item bonuses for long-lived simulation. It's a slightly different bag of goodies. I always go into these add-on reviews with an open mind. I don't actually listen to the community's feedback because everyone has their own opinions. What I will say, though, is that this add-on is incredibly strange. It's kind of like they went for a lore-based creation, which not a lot of people understand. As a bonus, it literally has 100 different swords. But the downside to this is they're not craftable in survival. When you join a world with this add-on installed, new or pre-existing, you will be given the little book of C.A.L.M, which is C.A.L.M. And what that actually stands for is Cellular Automata Life in Minecraft. And when you open this, there is a lot of information inside of this book. It says a new type of block has been discovered. You can use these blocks to explore the science of artificial life. You can also build amazing structures using special tools from this project. C.A.L.M is an artificial life simulator that builds blocks in the world. You have control of the artificial life using some special items. They are the life controller, which is an eye. The life cell is a block. The life destroyer is a spider. The life builder, which is an ant, the life randomizer, which is the dice, the pattern guide is a grid, the flight stick, life swords, the cell converter, which is shapes. So it says here, whenever you read this book and then close it, you will be given these items. Now, like I said, it's really, really bizarre, but I actually don't think it is as bad as people are actually saying. I do think it's a little bit overpriced and it does need some work, but let's go over it in a little bit more detail. I know I'm not going over this in order, but one of the things available is going to be a flight stick. The creators have said that this is useful for survival or creative. To get started, go ahead and jump. Obviously, this is going to give you flight. You are then able to look down to go in the direction that you wanted to. I feel like a lot of people would find use of this just in regular survival for builds or anything like that. Obviously, be careful because if you go down too fast, you will actually end up injuring yourself. I didn't that time, but to get activated with this one, you just got to jump in the air. Let's see what happens if we like switch here. Am I going to be dead? You will take damage. Making new life. You may either place the life cell on a flat area of the ground or use the life randomizer to create a randomly selected pattern. Once your blocks are placed, you may use the life controller to start the simulation by placing the life controller on top of one of the life cells. After 16 steps, the simulation will halt. You may choose to start it once more by placing the item on the new top layer. Honestly, this is incredibly confusing, but I've got a guide. So what I am going to do here is kind of follow it with this, maybe. So 1, 2, 3. How many is it? It's 3 up. Then we go across and then we do this. And this is the life controller. And then it kind of begins and starts creating its own life form. So this is like a new pattern design. So what happens if I place this on top now? It kind of starts to spread a little bit more. By the looks of things, you can do this in many different designs. So if I was to go ahead and follow this one now, which is like this, then this and this, then this goes on top, and it starts doing its own thing. But I can't quite grasp why it's doing this. So let's go to the life builder. This is then gonna build up this so-called life form that we have created. But I don't actually understand the aim of this. As the simulation runs, simple rules create or remove life cell blocks. Careful placement of blocks results in long-lived patterns or cycles. If you make a mistake, you can clear the area by placing down the life destroyer. But note that the simulation will avoid overwriting parts of the world. This means blocks like grass and flowers may interfere with your work. Try clearing out an area with water for best results. I wonder what happens if I place down one block and then the life controller on top. Nothing happens. It looks like you have to follow a specific guide. Some are bigger than others. So that one's a really, really big one here. So if I was to go 1, 2, 3, it's 2. And then we're going to go 2 this way. We're going to go 1 over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. And obviously place this on here. And it starts to do whatever it's doing. Whatever it's doing, it's doing its work. But then obviously we can make this bigger, which is what I've been doing. So can I go higher with this as well? So you can continue to increase the simulation. It says plus 3,000 cells bonus life item. And this is when you start getting the swords. The only way to get these swords is by doing what we are doing. So I would then have to keep making these bigger. Every time we pass 3,000, I guess I would then be given another item, which we have then been given. But you can see here, the attack on this one is insane. Sword of Sheep Life. If I do / summon and we do an Iron Golem here, I mean, you can see how powerful this is. But as it does mention, if this is too much for you, you can use the Destroyer in order to reduce this. I don't know who this is, but some dude has just turned up here. We'll get rid of him. So there's a chance that we could have someone turn up, but this is obviously meant to destroy these. But it just doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense inside of my head what the whole point of this is. So I figured out how these work. If you manage to kill these, they actually have a chance to drop one of the cool swords. So that's where the survival aspect comes into play, which I don't have too much of a problem with. The only problem is if you go to the crafting table and try and type in swords, for example, they're not craftable. I think that's a big miss because a lot of people love custom swords. If you didn't want to necessarily follow this design, you can go ahead and place down this, and this will create some form of randomness. You can kind of do this as much as you want. Obviously, at this stage, you could go ahead and delete them, or you could place this down and then also build these up to these really weird structures. To make things even more interesting here, we have the cell converter. And what this is going to do is convert your creations into, ironically enough, it's going to be blue coral, I think that is. Let's copy this in time here. Tube coral block, which will eventually die. So in my eyes here, we have this, which is the life cell. Obviously, when we convert this, it's going to die. To me, it's just a little bit too confusing. It doesn't really make much sense in my head. I'm trying to wrap my head around what on earth I'm looking at. By default, you do end up with the life swords. So let's go and check out some of these swords that are actually available. In creative modes, you'll see that we have some insane powers here. Like this one is 113 in damage. Like they should have just pushed this a little bit more. The Swords of Ravager. We have lightning bolts. I believe you can right-click with these as well. So they do have some really cool abilities. Like I said, some of them are fun to mess around with. We have the husk one. It's going to summon a husk. This one's going to summon a baby zombie villager. So I'm just trying to figure it out in my head. And I just can't. Sword of TNT Life. So you just right click and it's going to summon these. So if you wanted to cause trouble with your friends, I guess if you wanted to blow up the cells, you could. Summon the magmas. The evoker. Ender dragon is actually an option as well. Enderman. Axolotl. Bat. This practically summons all of these, but it's going to be in survival mode. Ignore the totem of sus. Can confirm that is not part of this pack. It's a texture that I have included. Being totally honest with you, I don't think this deserves a 2.9 star rating. I think the community has been quite harsh. At the same time, I don't think the creators have done a very good job explaining what this is and the lore behind it. With that being said, I would still avoid this add-on until some kind of updates are introduced.